Hi everyone, my name is Melissa from Inspire Me ASAP. Today I'm so excited to share with you a fun lesson that I taught just today with my second graders. If you're following along in my reading workshop videos, you'll know that we are smack dab in the middle of our new unit, which is all about thinking about what we are reading, that good readers think as they are reading, teaching those metacognition strategies. And the lesson that I taught today was explicitly demonstrating what that looks like and sounds like to think about what we are reading. So I wanted to model that very explicitly to my students in my mini lesson. As I got started to teach my mini lesson, one of the things that I did to plan was go to my local library and make sure that I had a plethora of nonfiction books, because in this next unit that I'm starting, I also teach nonfiction text features. So I never want my students looking for nonfiction books to apply what I taught them from the mini lesson in their own reading. I want them all set and ready to go. So that's the first thing that I did. And then I made sure that I had one thought bubble that I could pass out for every student. When I began teaching my mini lesson today, I stated the learning objective. Boys and girls, today I want to teach you how good readers think about what they are reading. If you're wondering why I'm wearing this thinking hat, boys and girls, you remember because we made this together to kick off a new unit that good readers use thinking strategies like making connections and visualizing as they are reading. Today we are going to specifically talk about how to think about what we are reading. So for this mini lesson, one thing that I would do is I would have one page ready to turn to. This would be your mentor text that I am referring to. My students now know that a nonfiction book does not have to be read in order from beginning to end. And in fact, I can turn to any page, start to read, and it's going to make sense because that's one of the features of a nonfiction book. When I began teaching this lesson, I told my students the objective, which is to think about what we are reading. And then I said, boys and girls, I am going to model for you. I am going to explicitly teach you what it looks like to think about what I am reading. Here is the book that I chose, Baby Animals, True or False. I opened up to page 20. Newborn kittens cannot see or hear. True or false? I'm wondering, newborn kittens cannot see or hear? I think that they can see. I think that they can hear. I think this is false. So I'm demonstrating that I'm thinking about what I'm reading before I even turn the page. Oh my goodness, true! It takes about 2 weeks for a kitten's eyes and ears to open. Boys and girls, I did not know that. I would then continue to read the information on this page out loud to them. I would identify that this is the caption, here's the photograph teaching me about the information on this page. And then I would wrap up my mini lesson by showing my students what it looks like to write down what I was thinking as I read that page on my thought bubble. So here's what I wrote from reading that page. I think it is amazing that newborn kittens can't see or hear. I didn't know that. I learned something new. That was on page 21 of this book. I always encourage my students to write the page number anytime that they are referring to something in the book. That is a great habit to get into, finding text evidence, whether they're in first grade, whether they're in fifth grade. That is an awesome strategy. Boys and girls, what page did you learn that fact on? What page did the author write that on? Let's not forget to put that page number in our writing. After I explicitly demonstrated what it looked like to think about what I was reading, I then had my students transition to the differentiated work time. And during the differentiated work time, I had some students going to independent reading time. So students would take their book nook, they would find a nonfiction book in their book nook, and they would do exactly what I did. They would take their own thought bubble, their own dry erase marker, their nonfiction book, and they would apply what I taught them in the whole group mini lesson to their own independent reading time. If I were, which I did today, meet with a guided reading group, I would, for today, focus on that same skill that I taught during the mini lesson because it was a brand new skill that I taught. So I would have my group of readers have a nonfiction text, whether it was a hardback book or whether it was a passage I already printed up. And together in the guided reading group, we looked at our nonfiction book and we identified one thing that they were thinking about as they were reading. And so on their thought bubble, they wrote down one thing that they thought of as they were reading the book during the guided reading group. As we came together as a whole class for the sharing or the closing part of the mini lesson, I then had my students turn and talk, which is something else that I already taught them to do when I was implementing my readers workshop. I had them turn and talk to each other, bring the book that they read during the independent reading time, whichever nonfiction book that was, and actually read to their partner and share with their partner what it is that they learned or what they were thinking about, what they were thinking as they were reading during their reading time today. So for example, I would bring my book and I would bring my thought bubble and I would turn to my partner and I would share, oh, on page 21, this is what I was thinking. And I would actually turn to that page and tell my partner, and then my partner would do the same to me. If you are interested in teaching this lesson to your own students, I have everything ready for you to go. The lesson plans are explicitly listing all the different parts of the mini lesson, and I will put the link to that below.